This girl right here, she would get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and train a team up in India, working in that industry. I said, girl, you crazy, right? But she was committed.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find people like that.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are back for the second episode here of Solid, and Jeff and I are excited to be here with you today. We're excited to be here with some guests of ours, some good friends of ours, Gus and Leah Heredia.
We're excited to be here.
Awesome to have you.
Invite.
Up from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you both grow up in Las Vegas?
No.
You did not grow up. Where did you grow up?
I was actually born in Mexico.
Okay.
Born in Mexico, called Lima, Mexico, and I was brought over here when I was 2 years old. And we moved up to Northern California. I've been in Las Vegas since 1994.
Okay,
Very
awesome.
Yeah,
And so your parents both still in Las Vegas?
both in Las Vegas. Yeah, they
Awesome.
travel back and forth, 6 months here, 6 months in Vegas.
Okay,
Or, 6 months in Mexico, 6 months in Vegas. So,
okay, awesome.
yeah.
Good. Leah, how about you?
Yep. I'm from Salinas, California, which is Central Coast,
Mm-hmm.
just about an hour or so south of San Francisco. And I've been in Las Vegas since about 2000. So half my life California, half my life Vegas.
Awesome.
Very
Yeah.
cool. We've known each other for a long time, all of us
Long
on
time.
this table of, maybe 15, 16
Yes.
plus years?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah, I always tell everybody I married her for my green card, but that's not true. Like to have fun, like to have a good time,
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, we're honored to have you here with us. You've been very
Yeah.
successful in life.
thank you
got
for the invite, man. It's
yeah,
exciting.
got a wonderful marriage. You got a great family. I think you're super successful in all of those areas.
Yeah.
You've built a great business. You're building a great business, and we just wanted to have you on. And
That's awesome.
we love. I think there's so many people in the world today with all the craziness going on, the morals of the world and the direction all that's going.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to do with this, the reason we're calling it Solid, is we need some people that are solid out there to lead the way, right?
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So we are honored to have you guys. You guys are great examples of just, when I think of you, I think solid.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Right. Incredible
That's good to
people.
hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good to hear.
absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your guys' selves, right? About business. I mean, obviously you guys run a successful business, and how'd you guys end up in business for yourselves?
Thank God, man. We've been blessed. We've been blessed, and I think everybody starts off like you always hear. Go to school, get a good grade, get good grades, get yourself a good job. And so that's something that I did. I was an electrician, and I was in the union, and but then, man, I ran into somebody, and we started talking about what he did and whatnot, and man, the rest is history. But I always knew that when I saw the business, what it is that they did, I said, you know what, I think I can do this. I always tell everybody, just give yourself a shot because you ain't got nothing to lose.
Right.
Most people are scared to see what's on the other side, but you haven't even been on the other side yet. So what are you scared of?
Yeah.
True.
And, but man, once I saw it, I said, you know what, this is something I can do. I'm going to give it a shot. And you know what, when I say people give yourself a shot, in reality, it's like, you need to just give yourself a shot, and just go for it. Especially at the age of 22, I was 22 years old when I saw the business, and, I said, I really ain't got nothing to lose, but I just wanted, I wanted something different,
Mm-hmm.
and you always see these people, that have nice houses and nice cars, and you wonder, what do these people do? I mean, what college did they graduate? I said, and it's like, I don't want to go back to college. I don't want to do none of that stuff. I wonder if there's another way to do it, and so.
Were you going to college at the time?
You know what? I went to college and I dropped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you go to college for?
Man, 1 semester.
Me too, brother.
Me beat.
Me too.
I didn't even make it a
You didn't even
semester.
make it.
So.
And
How about you, Leah? We know you're the brains in this room.
She is. She's the brain.
Yeah, I did. I went to about 2.5 years of college, and I came to Las Vegas to go to UNLV with a group of friends. And I met Gus very shortly thereafter, and then I met Jesus very shortly thereafter. And so,
That was probably a good order. Otherwise,
Now, did you
it
introduce
might
her
have
to
changed.
Jesus?
yes, if I would have met Jesus first, Gus probably would not have been part of the equation.
Oh, wow. All right. That's good to hear.
It's the other way around, yeah.
Yes. And so after that, our lives just progressed into a Christian-based living. We got married young, had Noah, our son, young, which is now 18. And I went to work in the mortgage industry, worked in the mortgage industry for about 10 or 12 years. And I will never give that time back because it is a hustle. I call it a white knuckle ride, like a roller coaster ride. And it teaches you how to buckle down. And one thing I'm very proud to represent is I always treat, whether it's a job, whatever job it may be, that it was my own business. I'm working as if I was working for myself or to the Lord. And with that attitude and with that work ethic, you progress and you promote yourself through systems. And I will never give back those times. My best mentors have come from the mortgage industry and the companies and corporations I've worked for. And Gus and I moving into a financial services business and opportunity, I just took everything I was already doing. I unplugged from that industry, mortgage, and I just plugged it into our own business. I was already managing people. I was already, had the skill set, the work ethic, and I just plugged it in for us. So I went full-time in our business in 2015. So the last 7 years, we've been working together.
So what year, Gus, did you start the business?
2006.
2006. And so, Gus, you started, and then Leah, you came in later on. What was it that... So I guess, Gus, you kind of answered this question, but the question I want to ask is, Gus, what was the reason you started your own business? What was the desire that made you want to own your own business? And then, Leah, what was it that made you decide to get started with him and then go into business with Gus?
I think in the beginning it was the money. It was the money that attracted me, and so I said, man, they make good money. So I said, I want to learn this business, and there's a lot of money to be made.
Who did you see making money?
I ran into my mentor,
Chris?
Mr. Chris Howard.
All right. Yeah.
And I got to meet him, and I said, man, you can tell right away. You can tell right away with the way somebody carries themselves, right? So I go down to his office and said, man, this guy makes money, right? And he had that smile. I was like, yeah, he makes money.
Those big teeth.
Yeah, the big teeth, right? And so I said, man, I'm going to listen to this guy.
Huh.
And so when I started listening to him, it's like, you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about, right? And so... But that's really, really what I saw. At the beginning, it was just, I want to make money, right? Like anybody. If anybody tells you...
I was the same way.
Everybody tells you, no, it's not about the money. No, it is about the money, But then once you start really doing something, then you realize, you know what? There's a big cause here. There's a reason why we're doing it. And, it's more about the freedom. But at the beginning, you don't really see that. It's money, but money does bring you the freedom.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I remember, not to cut you off, but you're talking about Chris Howard, and you were 22 when you kind of saw. I was 22 when I saw it, and Chris Howard was kind of the first. We were at a meeting, right? And Brendan Merton showed a slide of Chris Howard, and he just went over $1 million a year in income.
Yeah.
$1 million a year. And I'm 22 going, what? Right? And then he showed Hector Lamarck right after that. And Hector was making $250,000 a month. And I'm going, this is crazy, And just seeing that success. And we were fortunate to be in a business and a company where people were already successful. And then saying, hey, look, we've done it. We know exactly how to do it. We'll teach you how to do it. And you got involved and started doing that. And I think what's cool is, and Leah, maybe I should just ask, but I don't want to assume anything, but you got the business started. Leah was working mortgages and maybe paying the bills for a while while you were grinding this out, trying to figure it out. Yeah,
I was part-time for 2.5 years. And, we came to a meeting at Mesquite. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were in the business yet or not.
I just started. It was packed house. Fire marshal wouldn't let anybody else in.
Brian
No, it was Hector.
No. We came to Mesquite, and
or Chris Keith Otto maybe.
It was you.
Oh, it was me.
Yeah,
you were the guest speaker, but it was
Lex.
I was the
Hector
guest
and
speaker.
Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was here. It was at Mesquite and
the Oasis.
At the Oasis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the time, man, I had a huge team, and I brought down one person. Right? I mean, oh man, but I was excited, man. I was fired up, and then I don't think Leah even came to this event at that time. But I got to see you, and then I was like, man, I said, these people are winning. These people are winning. And so you wanted to be part of that environment.
Right.
Yeah. That winning environment.
But that was probably, what year was that?
Man, I don't remember. But it was like
When did you start?
I started in 2006.
So it's probably right around,
Right around there was my first, one of my big events I came to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were the guest speaker.
All right.
That was my first event.
Oh, there you
Wow.
go.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
And so it's a start, man.
Yes.
And so you start seeing people that are succeeding and winning. It's like, you know what? And it's like where you came from, well, you used to work for a credit card company, stuff like that. It's like, and you start hearing all this stuff where different people's background. It's like, man, you know what? If they can do it, you can do it too, as long as you're willing to do what they do.
So, Leah, what made you decide? Obviously, Gus had been doing the business for quite a few years before you decided to get started with him. What made you decide to jump in?
Well, I jumped in a couple different times. The first time with the mortgage industry, that crash we had in 08, 09, I was kind of forced out where I was making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month as mid-20s is good money, you would think. But that started to dwindle down to $1,500 a month, $1,000, no more salaries. They would pay you per file closed, which weren't many anymore. So I stayed home to raise our son. And so I started helping a little bit in the background, admin, but again, still small team, not real big just yet. I helped by getting all my licensing so we could take our brokerage position. And it still wasn't kicking off as fast as we were coming out of that slump. And so I was offered another position back in the mortgage industry, and I took that for a few years. And the funniest thing is in our credenza in our office, I had 2 people's track records of how they built their business and took their incomes. Number one to being Brandon, the youngest $1 million earner before 30, and then Jeff and Kelsey.
Wow.
You guys were the only 2 people's track records I had, and I just watched it, the progression and the way you guys built it, and then the income just followed the production and building and recruiting. And so really the reason Gus would say things like, well, you only go back to work for like 6 months, a year. But again, I started off my intro as I have work ethic. One of my qualities as a person is I'm extremely loyal. Yeah. So I'm not going to put my hand into something that I'm not going to see through. So I had loyalty to the folks I worked for. But there was a point that Gus was hanging out at Starbucks, meeting with people, agents, just building relationships while I was working 50 plus hours a week. However, I was making $100,000 plus. So I was making my own 6 figures as he was building his 6 figures. But there's just something different that comes with the freedom of building your own business and being in control of your own time, your own income ability. So in 2015, that's when I jumped back in, and it was at a big meeting. And again, I can't remember who the speaker was, what they said, but it's that environment. It is that passion in the air that says you can do it. Just like Gus said, you can do it if you do all the right things. So as I mentioned earlier, I just unplugged what I was already doing and plugged it into our business, and we tripled our income. Within 2 years.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. You're talking about that environment and that secret ingredient that we get as human beings being around other human beings. And I'm a natural introverted type person. I'd rather kind of just go do my own thing. But I cannot deny the importance of getting around good, like-minded people and what happens there. Yeah. And it's an intangible thing. It's not something that's, I've heard one of our former CEOs in the financial business used to always say, winning is illogical. And you go to an event and you see something just hits you. The first convention I had went to, something just changed in me where I went from, I think I can do this to, I know I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like difference. When logical meets emotional, and it only can happen in a room full of people that are already winning. And there's so much evidence, right?
Yes.
It's like you can't argue with what you're seeing. Nobody else in the world is seeing it, just the people there, right? And it's those people that have desire and just this grit and the will to win. It's like something changes in them when they're around a bunch of people that feel the same thing, right?
And now, Leah, when you made this decision to join Gus, full on, you were already supportive and working together already. But you were leaving a 6-figure income there. I don't know that were you guys already making 6 figures in Primerica as well?
Yes.
So I guess, you making that decision, I guess the question I'm trying to ask here, because I think everybody wants their marriage or partnership to come together like that. And looking from the outside, I would say you guys were always together. You just had to do it in a way where at first you were working 2 different places, but you were working towards the same common.
Exactly.
Anything you want to say about that? About how that all worked together?
I think we had, she was going her way and I was doing work at the business, but we were meeting together in that goal.
2 paths with a common destination.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing. And I knew she wasn't going to be there forever. It's just once everything lined up and we'd make this thing happen, she'd be right there next to me. That's another thing is she is so good at what she does. I just get out of her way. I tell her, you do you, boo, right? And I'll do mine. Yeah. And but finding your role in what the assets you can bring to the business, right?
Right.
So much value, and that's her, man. She's a beast.
I would say that's any great partnership. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And so her busting her butt in the mortgage industry. This girl right here, she would get up at 1:00 in the morning and train a team up in India. Working in that industry. I said, girl, you crazy, right? But she was committed.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find people like that,
It is.
you know? And so in the world of an employee, you would, as a CEO or a business owner, you would want somebody like her,
Of course.
right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
she's committed,
Yep.
Right.
right? But once she came and she's like, I'm going to give that back to the community. I'm going to help somebody, you know?
Sure.
Then the business just took off, you know?
That's
And
awesome.
That's something that she has, is that commitment.
Now today you've got 4 offices. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
and your income's continuing to grow.
Yeah.
And you're I think you're
God's good, man.
on a mission 7-figure income yourselves, which is unheard of in today's
Yeah.
Right.
world, right? But what is it like now? I mean, you live in Las Vegas, and we were kind of talking before about some of the stuff you're doing at home
Yeah.
to want to get protected at home. Maybe just talk about what's it like living in Vegas.
Yeah, you know, I just think that, you know, sometimes people don't really realize that what you hear when you're young, it's going to happen. And we hear, you know what? When you start becoming successful, you want to protect everything you have.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I was asking you today, you know? It's like, we've worked hard. We worked hard for what we have. Nothing was given to us, right? But it comes to a point where you realize you have to protect what you have.
Right.
You know, in this world. And the world is always consistently changing. You got to be smart about these situations. And so, you know, and that's why in Las Vegas, you know, everybody comes to Las Vegas. We're known as, the party city.
Sin City.
Yeah, yeah.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Well, everybody knows. You know, if you come to Vegas, everybody knows you're in Vegas and what you did, right?
right.
Because people don't know how to keep their mouths quiet. But, you know, and it's important to protect your family, and
Yeah.
protect your loved ones.
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
and-
Yeah.
In all means that you can.
I think we should talk about that a little bit because, you know, in fact, we were talking just before this podcast a bunch about all of this kind of stuff. You know, where does, as a parent, where do you intervene? And
Yeah.
and there's so much confusion today. You know, there was just the shooting down in Texas
Yeah.
yesterday, and
Sad situation.
we all saw that where, you know, an 18-year-old, I think it was a transgender
Yeah.
young man, right, and no father figure, probably had a tough
Right.
upbringing. Everybody's going to try to make it about the guns, but
Yeah.
it's way deeper than that. It's way before any of that. And, you know, we were kind of talking about this, you know, if you have a little boy who's 2 or 3 years old and says, Dad, I want to wear a dress, or Mom, I want to wear a dress. I think as a parent, you should say, no, you don't wear a dress, you're a boy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're at that point, they're going to go with whatever. So if you said, oh yeah, I think a dress, if you like, you like wearing a dress, and you're going to confuse the kid,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like you were talking about your son Rome a couple weeks ago. We were talking about he was kind of looking at somebody who was dressed as a girl, and
Yeah.
it was a guy dressed as a girl, and you just said, son, he's confused.
He's confused. Yeah, it's like, what do you say to a 7-year-old? We all know a 7-year-old's so honest. Like, Dad, what the heck's this dude doing wearing a
Yeah.
dress? What do I say other than he's confused?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, it's at some point, I guess the whole point of this, you know, conversation is where do you give a child responsibility to make decisions that are going to impact their life positively, which I think goes back to protecting our family and the
Yeah.
things that we've built, right? Who are we handing them over to? And it's our job to raise great children that we can raise up and can honor what we've built by making what we've done better, right? Giving them a hand up in life. And I think, yes, sometimes, I mean, it's hard, right? I think what brought this up is a question someone asked is, all right, so should a child own a gun at 18 years old? Right? And if they shouldn't own a gun at 18 years old because they're not mature enough, then should we be giving them a weapon to drive, like a vehicle?
Sure,
Right?
exactly.
And are they too young, or is it our job as parents to raise up children in an environment where we give them the freedom to make mistakes inside of a framework of expected responsibility, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I think
Very good.
exactly coming back to environment.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility as a parent to raise up a child in the way he should go,
Right.
right? And so it comes down to environment, it comes down to teaching. And there was a point in our own son's life, it was, I think, 7th grade, where he chose to homeschool. And so we chose a school that was a little bit more virtual attendance-wise. There was teachers present on like Zoom teaching. And same thing as cooking, right? You're having knives. You got to teach your kids
Right.
how
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
chop onions or, you know, cut meat. And that's the same thing with weapons, with guns, with anything like that. You know,
Yeah.
we're a house.
Or with a business where you can go provide for your
Yes.
family, right?
Or money.
Yep. Or
Absolutely.
money, yep.
That's one of the things I told Noah before you get married. You should have a goal of saving $50,000 minimum.
Right.
And maybe he didn't reach that goal, but he was sure close.
Yeah.
And it's
incredible.
again, it's the teaching from the parents. And whatever lifestyle you as a parent want to raise your children in, it's your responsibility to fester that environment, to cultivate
and protect that. I mean,
Yes.
even the internet today, right? We've got to be
Yes.
very careful about what they're
Everything.
exposed to
Right.
there, which is a tricky thing to navigate
Yes.
today.
We didn't let Noah have social media. If it was my choice, he wouldn't have had a cell phone till he was 16. But
Boy.
partnership, doesn't
Well,
always work out that way.
I'm the
Same way.
It's a
But no
tough deal,
social
yeah.
media because, again, I was going to be the one feeding what I wanted my son to grow up in, his belief system. And again, when they're adults, by all means, it's on you at that point when you move out and you have your own thought patterns and your own influence. But in my home, I'm the one responsible for my own son.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I think these are the same things we're talking about right now to raise great children, are a lot of the same things it takes to build a great business, right? Like environment and belief system and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. Where'd you guys learn this stuff? I think a lot of people, and the reason I asked that question, I think a lot of people that are maybe just employees, unfortunately, don't get to be in an environment where they're taught these things. I think there are places they could go seek them out. Unfortunately, most people don't. But I think if everybody in the world could understand these things, like what is the environment in your home, what kind of belief system are you building up in your children, these kind of things, including ourselves, right? It's just important for us to be focused on social media. If we're going to be on there, we better use it as a good tool,
Right.
not as a bad habit,
Sure.
like most people do, right? So where'd you guys learn a lot of this stuff? I mean, if somebody's listening and they go, you know what, I would love to start thinking that way and making decisions like they make decisions, where do they go?
Right. I think it's extremely important to make sure you have mentors in life. I will say this. I cried one day in the shower as I was listening to John Maxwell, and he was saying the same thing. You need mentors in life. And one of the next words out of his mouth, or next sentences out of his mouth, was, most of your mentors you will never meet in person. And I was kind of shocked because I want somebody tangible, somebody I can talk to and someone could pat me on the back when I'm having a bad day. But he said, you need to get it through books. You need to get it through videos. You need to get it through, other people in business that you may never shake their hands, but you have a constant flow of teaching or wisdom. So for me personally, our pastor has always said one thing. It's wise to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even wiser to learn from another man's mistakes. So what does that mean? Watch. If you like the way somebody comes out or their actions or their setup at their homes, follow those things.
Right.
If you don't like it, then that's a red flag. Maybe you shouldn't do that. I've listened to Dr. Laura Schlesinger my whole life, pretty much. My mom listened to her when I was a kid. She's a talk radio show host. She's been on there, 40 years, and she's the wisest person I've ever listened to in my life. The Book of Proverbs. I read it almost every single month. And so you have to be feeding yourself, but you have to reach out and say, I want to improve. I want to create this little haven for myself, number one, my own mind, my marriage, my family, parenting, everything. But you have to be seeking. It's not going to just be happenstance that everything perfectly falls in your lap like a beautiful sunset. Right. You have to work for it.
Yeah, I think when you talk about building this haven, and that goes back to protecting it too, right? Because you've got to, if you have a garden, you've got to not only protect the garden, but you got to pull weeds. And I think in our lives and our business and our family, we've got to make sure that if we want certain things to happen, we've got to take certain actions, right? To make sure that the environment is fertile for what we're trying to grow in that environment, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think too. Just obviously you've got a foundation, and I think why are you here in St. George?
We're actually going up to a play.
Oh, you're going to play. I thought you were.
Tuacahn.
I thought you were going to a church activity tonight.
No,
You're not.
no, we're going to. We're taking our pastor. Our pastor's going.
Oh, you are okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And but obviously you have that foundation. You said you found Christ back in whenever that was, just
20
before
years old.
20. Okay, yeah. And if everybody just had that as a foundation, all this stuff wouldn't be an issue, right?
Solves a lot of problems.
So
man.
many people are so caught up in seeking pleasure.
Yeah.
And when we seek pleasure, I was trying to remember what pleasure versus, I can't remember what it was, but I wish I could remember. It'll probably come to me. But if we're always seeking that, and we're not going to get anywhere in life, you know,
Yeah.
we've got to do what's right. And that's what brings the true joy, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things, just to kind of close out on that, is it's okay to fall.
Yeah.
If you fall,
Yep.
Sure.
you have to get back up.
Yep.
And thank God, mercies are new every single morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
For
right.
sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I actually, wrote this down earlier that when you said you got to give yourself a shot, and I was going to come back to that because I think that a lot of people don't give themselves a shot because they're worried about falling down.
Yeah.
Why do you think people are worried about falling down? Right? They're scared. They have fears that are programmed in their environment. They have egos, whatever it may be. What are some tools you guys use to? I mean, because we've known each other for a long time,
Yes.
and we've all been through the valleys, and we've been at the top together, and I've watched you guys overcome some incredible things with faith, always positive. Nobody ever knew what was happening. What are some things that allowed you guys to continue moving forward, even though when it didn't make sense to everybody else, right? Where maybe everybody else thought, oh man, I would never keep moving forward, or that's a hard challenge, or when most people would quit, you guys kept moving forward. What was it that allowed you guys to continue moving forward when it didn't make sense, when it was uncomfortable, or the odds were against you, or the situation was tough?
Yeah. Man, you know what? I always tell everybody, you got to have faith. You just got to have faith that you just keep going. It's all going to work out.
So what does that mean? What does faith mean?
You keep going, it's going to work for you.
Well, having hope.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
You're having the hope.
Expectation that the future is going to be better than now if I continue to doing the right things.
And if I
right?
say why, but why? Well, because I've seen so-and-so be in a worse situation and they kept going and they made it. So if I keep going, then I'm going to make it.
But what's the alternative?
Right?
Yeah.
Laying down and dying?
Right.
Yeah. What are we gonna
Giving
do?
up,
Giving
Quit?
up?
punking out.
Dying?
Yep.
The flashlight
Broke?
theory, right? You
Yeah.
gotta shine a flashlight, you can only see so far. You got to step further to have it shine further.
Yeah.
I think one of the saddest things is
It's crazy.
the pain of regret,
Yeah.
right? If you never try, then you'll never know what could have been.
Right. Yeah, I've talked about that for a lot of
I
years. I
know.
think for me, that's probably a thing that pushes me, is knowing that at the end of my life, after it's all said and done, I don't want to look back wishing
Yeah.
or regretting I didn't do something, and wishing I had the courage or the guts to
Yeah.
just give it a shot, right?
And here's another thing is we all have known each other for more than a decade. Can we each think of something that was so massive in one another's lives that was so detrimental or was such a failure? And really, no, I can't. I mean, memory, our pastor says, has no neutral ground, right? It is what you think of. And I think amazing things about you gentlemen and your wives and your families and your success. And I think the same thing about us. And we always think as the month of production rolls to the next month, no one was worrying about who was 4th, 5th, or 6th, or 7th place, or who didn't meet their income goals. You're worrying about yourself. So I think faith, number one, faith has been the trajectory of success. And number one, our walk with God, our marriage, our family, our business, coming out of trials and devastations. I'm not just going to lay down and die.
No.
Right.
It's going to be better tomorrow. And if you give up now, you'll never know. But no one's worrying about you. No
Yeah.
one remembers your faults.
Right.
They only remember their own. So you just got to keep going.
So it sounds like to me, sorry, Brandon, it sounds like to me what you're saying is that a lot of the, challenges, if you will, that you were facing, no matter what area of your life it was in, how you got through it was really your spiritual faith, not this faith like, hey, tomorrow will be better, but I know that,
Yes.
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 So I wanted to ask you this because I personally believe that a lot of people, especially in the world we live in today, in this modern world, it's like they're trying to take God out of everything. It's right, the universe this and energy that and all of these things. And I think that what it does is it creates almost like this unsure ground that people
Confusion.
walk on. Yes, confusion. I think that's a good word. And so it's hard for them to know what steps to take or even which direction they're headed, right? And so I think that if a lot of people had a stronger spiritual walk, they would realize how much it benefits all other areas of their life because of the choices they're going to make in that. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think is the best way? I think a lot of people, Brandon and I were talking about this yesterday, where a lot of people that do put God first in their life would prefer, when they see people struggle, for them to have that same peace, security, faith, sureness about their future. What do you think is the best way to expose people or help people understand that that's really the foundation? That's what keeps your life solid, if you will. That's what keeps your beliefs or your steps solid in the future. What do you think are the best ways to maybe help people expand their life in that way so that they can have this solid foundation?
I think, I tell everybody's watching you. You have to be that light. You have to be that light. What is Brandon doing? What is Jeff doing? Why are they where they're at? Well, you guys, you were an example. You were a light to somebody else. And people nowadays, they it's more about seeing, right? Because you can tell somebody, but if they see how you live your life, oh my goodness, look, they don't do this, they don't, right? Then they see that example, and you're that light to them. And I think nowadays it's like that hope. You're that light, their example. I want to be like so and so, right? It's like we wanted to be like Jeff. We wanted to be like Brandon Neal. Right?
Yeah.
Because number one is you guys have a great family, great business. I mean, you're great fathers, right? I mean, I can go on and go on and go on. But you guys, you can tell me that, but I can see it.
Right.
There's a big difference. And I just think nowadays is we need some, I don't know if I can say this, but we need some men to step up, man.
No, yeah, absolutely.
That is one of the goals
for this, and the term solid.
Yeah.
Is that we believe what you just said with all of our hearts, right, Brandon? That
For sure.
the future of our country and for our children is going to be defined by raising great men, right? And I think that if we can do a good job of that, it's going to take a generation, right? But imagine how great it's going to be for our children's children if we can actually get that across to raise some great men in this generation, right?
And that's one of the things I told my son. I told Noah, He's 18, and so a little bit about Noah. He's 18, graduated when he was 15, graduated high school, right?
That's awesome.
And you guys, my wife already mentioned he was homeschooled and stuff like that, but we never told him, you graduate high school, this and that, before your time. No. What happened was his best friend was 18, and he's 15. So guess what's going to happen when the friend turned 18? Friend was graduating high school.
Yep.
So he says, you know what? I want to graduate with him. And I said, I seriously said, this boy crazy. Right? I said, he don't know what he's going through.
Yeah.
But he locked himself. I mean, he was determined to get it done.
Yeah.
Right? And his mama pushed him as far as helped him where you at so far, stuff like that.
Accountability.
But accountability. Yeah. She played a big role in that. But and then Noah turns 18, graduates high school, whatnot, and he meets this little young lady, which I call Mulan, right? And her name is Danielle, but I call her Mulan. And so I said, Bud, hey, listen, there's a big move right here, right? I said, because everybody tells you, Jeff, he's 18 years old. Brandon, he's 18 years old. What's the number one thing people tell you? Why are you getting married so young?
Yeah.
You need to go explore. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
Well, not only that,
What does
he
that
may
mean?
be 18,
Yeah.
but Noah, he's here in our studio today.
Yeah.
But Noah, he graduated at 15.
Yeah.
He's got he's
Yes.
3 years beyond
Beyond.
what most 18-year-olds would be.
Yeah.
In, so
and chose
he's
to do
more
that
mature.
himself.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
the level of maturity. So people are comparing his level of maturity
Exactly.
to another, child. They could have been the same age, but they were a child and he's a man, right? Even though they might be the same age.
And just to lace it back to your original question is, he's seen an example
The environment.
in us, in our business, in other people, that if you set a goal, there's no stopping you if you put the legwork in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so when he's like, I want to get married, Dad, I'm like, man, buddy, that's a big decision. You know what I'm saying? We only believe that when you say I do, it's to the grave.
Yep.
Right? And so sorry for Leah, right? She got to put up with me because I ain't no quitter. But, I said, look, buddy, I said, Mama's taught you a lot, right? But I said, I hope I teach you that how you can treat somebody, how you can treat your wife.
Yeah.
Right? We got to work hard for them. We got to be the providers. We got to be the ones that, say, they're proud to say, that's my husband. He takes care of us. He takes care of the household.
Like a real man is a man who provides for his family, treats people good, makes his children feel like heroes. It stands up in his community, does whatever he can, right? Not the dude that gets off work and says, "Where's dinner?" That isn't a real man, right? It's not, right?
No,
I mean, let's face it. And unfortunately, in our society today, like some young men grow up and see that example and then wonder why their life turns out the way it does.
It seems like it's looked down upon now.
Yeah.
You know, like it's okay. Like if you're a weenie, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, it ain't okay.
Well, I think it all comes down to there's an attack on the family today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Satan knows if he can get the family broken up,
Absolutely.
everything else falls apart.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I think we're married for eternity. So I think, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go probably past this life, probably, right?
Oh, Lord.
So that's my belief. So I think we're married forever, right?
Yeah.
And
What do you mean, oh Lord? What do you mean?
Oh, Lord, thank you.
So Noah, just make sure as some people might listen to this, that, sometimes you meet somebody who has completely opposite opinions and beliefs.
Yeah.
And you go, how? We live in the same world. We witness and see the same things, but do we see the same things? I think some people are watching a different movie, right? And that's where it comes down to, okay, what is truth and what's opinion?
Right.
And, I guess that would be a question I would have is, how do we determine that? Because I believe there are people out there that go, I never want to be married. I never want to have kids. But I would, based on what I think I know, I don't know much, but what I think I know where the most joy in this life happens is with a family.
Yeah.
Being married, having kids, raising kids, having a family. That's where the most joy is. And so those people, I believe, if they knew that, they would want that. So, how do we determine what's truth from opinion, or help those people determine? I mean, I think that's truth. I can feel it. What I just said, I feel like it's truth. I don't think that's my opinion. I think that's established from God, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And other people might say, that's an opinion. Well, I think you need to maybe think about how you're feeling about that, right?
Yeah.
What's God telling you about that? So I don't know. Truth versus opinion. How do we determine?
I would say that's a hard one, but I think it when you said the word perspective, I think unfortunately maybe, and this is totally an opinion. I have no basis on this, but my perspective would be that someone who would say, I never want to be married, never have children, maybe most of those people haven't been in an environment where they can feel the love and the joy that creates. Maybe they grew up in a family that was broken. I grew up in a broken home.
They're watching a different movie.
Yeah, so I can see from the perspective of me as a child, I can see maybe how as people are growing up, they go, I don't want this. And all they saw is a broken marriage and a broken home. Like, I don't want to have children because I don't want to bring children into this crazy world, right? Because that's their perspective of their life. However, for me, the fortunate thing for me is I got into an environment at a young age where my wife and I, we were just dating. We were just kids, right? I mean, when we started our business, we were 20 and 17, but we had you and Lexi to look up to, right? We had so many people. And so even though I came from a broken environment, and really so did my wife, that we had great examples. And I think as we got closer and we got to know you guys better, and we got to know people like Gus and Leah and these people in our lives, it made us realize that is where happiness, like true fulfillment, comes from, is a great marriage and a great family. And I think there's a reason, obviously, anybody who's a Christian or, is going to feel that same way, because I feel like it's taught, right? And unfortunately, the perspective in society is like, it's okay to have your own feelings, your own thoughts. As we go back to this, as you were talking about a little boy wearing a dress, but shouldn't at some point we teach people like, hey, that might be how you're feeling right now, but I think if you want to go find true joy and true happiness, why not give it a shot? Why not give yourself a shot, as Leah said, right? Why not try it? Because it's like when I had kids, we started having children, and I always had this idea in my mind. I wanted to have 2 children. My wife wanted to have 4. So we compromised on 3, right? So we have 3 children today. And I went and got fixed. And the reason I got fixed is because I already know how it is. I know I love my children with all my heart. I would have 20 of them. right? Because even though you have this idea of only having 2 children, after you have a few,
By
you
the
go,
way, he used a very, very small bag of peas after that. Down to ice.
for all you guys
The
scared to do
situation.
it, man, it's nothing. It's nothing. For all you guys. I was
I
back
had
at the
to use
office
an
the
extra
same
large.
day.
I had to use 2 bags. Is that appropriate for this? Mal, will you edit that out?
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I think that, you know, just having that perspective, giving yourself a shot, like maybe if people are feeling that way about anything, right? I'm not making enough money. We'll try starting a business. Well, I don't have the joy in my life, or we'll try finding someone you love and maybe pouring your heart and soul into building a great relationship, right? Or finding mentors and people that you really respect, and you think, man, they have the life that I want. And maybe it's just in their marriage, but you know, go build and emulate a life around their marriage because it inspires you, right? Or their business, or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I think too, just as you started off talking about coming from a broken home, Jeff, just to kind of go along with all of this, is it makes me step back a little bit and go, you know what? I can understand why some people believe the way they believe, and my heart goes out to them because what else? They haven't seen anything else. In fact, again, the shooter yesterday, talking about that. I don't mean to keep bringing that up, but at the same time, I mean, that young man, it's sad. He's hurting.
Yeah.
Obviously hurting because he wants to inflict pain on other people. And, you know, if we can do something to help people with that, you know, and so I don't mean to be insensitive by saying, man, how could you not want that joy? I get why people don't understand that that's where the true joy comes from. They go, man, why would I want to be married when my parents got divorced and I saw them fighting all the time? I don't want that. I'd rather just not. So I get it. I get it.
I think a more important, or not more important, but I think an important point in that conversation though, Brandon, is like your story, right? You were raised by incredible parents and you built an incredible family the same way, and that was valuable. But then that impacted my family. Right? So I came from a broken home, but because you made a decision to build a family and have a great family, it impacted us, right? I mean, how cool is that? And I think, you know, I'm sure, Gus and Leah, how obviously you guys have an incredible family. Are your parents, like, did you guys both grow up in a great home? Do you have great parents? I mean, what is that story for you guys?
Yeah, my parents were married they're divorced now, but they were married the whole time.
Yeah.
I was growing up on my way to college and very involved. We are always in sports. You know, my dad and he wasn't the kind of dad that would pet you and kiss you and tell you he loves you, but I could sure lay in his arms and watch a baseball game all Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, and so there was definitely a lot of affection, a lot of pushing you. Yes, you can do it. I mean, that's how I grew up. And so I think, you know, whether it was college or job or business or anything, I've never had a limitation mindset for myself that I couldn't do something. My parents have always pushed us. If you want to do that, you can do it.
So you think that mindset came from your parents?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And my parents worked extremely hard. Yeah. I mean, my mom had 3 jobs. My dad worked for the Postal Service for almost 40 years. And so loyalty, work ethic, you know, stick-to-itiveness.
Yep.
All that came from my parents.
Yeah. How about you, Gus?
Awesome. You know, my mom's never worked, never had a job in her life except raising us. You know, my dad.
Yeah, that's a harder job.
That's a big job.
I know. But leaving the house, my mom never did that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing my dad said, you know what, you're going to raise these kids, and it's me and my brother, you know. Yeah. But that's one thing I can learn from my dad. My dad was a hard worker, right? I mean, he was a provider for the household, and one income took care of all of us, right? And they've been married almost 30 years now, I think. 30 years commitment.
Yeah.
And you don't hear that nowadays.
Right.
No.
You know, and so I was raised like that. I was raised, you know, from obviously immigrants from Mexico, came into this country.
Parents?
Yeah, my parents.
Well, you're 40, so they've been married more than 30 years.
Well,
Over 40 years.
He just don't realize
I
how
was 30. 50. You're
was
right, going 50 years.
Yeah.
Wow, it's, you know why?
Flies.
It's because we feel like we're 18.
Well,
yes.
you know, that's
like
exactly
we don't
right.
feel
We
the same. Yeah.
I mean, we feel like we kids.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that.
And it's because of the life we have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Because, but anyways, go.
And Brandon, I just want to interject and respond to how you started this segment about truth and opinion. What is the difference?
Oh.
And I think for everybody, they have their own truth, right? Depending on whether it's a faith, a religion, a lifestyle, you have your own truth. And that's fine, right? I don't expect you to believe exactly what I believe. And I think within each truth or faith, there's a lot of variation, right? Your church floor's carpet may be green. Ours is red. That all is fine. I think where it comes down to is just having a love for people and a respect for people.
Right.
And I mean, for instance, it's not unbiblical to not be married or to not have children. There was
Right.
people in the Bible that the Lord says, well, if you're married, then you can't have your full devotion to God, but it's okay.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
But at the same token, the Bible says to love your wife like Christ loved the church. So there are so many truths. I think where we fall short is, I feel, right? Your own convictions of what's right and what's wrong. And when that's harmful to other people or children specifically, that's where you get into the muddied waters. That's where you're harming people, as the situation you've already mentioned a couple times. That may have been a truth and perspective right in your own eyes, but if it's harming other people,
Yeah,
that's
I would
where it's
say,
not right.
yeah, truth is based on someone's perspective, and perspective can be so many different
Of course,
things,
yes.
right? And it could all be true, but mean something totally different. And that's the
Yes.
hard thing about life. And I think that's when it comes down to, like, morals, even in business, right?
Yeah.
It's so important. You see, like, so often the difference between treating somebody good, just going out to serve. So often you see people, and I hope people listening to this will get this point, because my wife and I talk about this so often, that people want to succeed so bad, and it's awesome. I respect desire, but it's almost like they want to succeed so bad and they want to make money so bad that becomes their priority. And so making money becomes their priority over a relationship. And what they have a hard time seeing at the beginning, this is usually amateurs. They go into business and they want to tell everybody, and they don't care if it's better for them. They just want them to do business so they can succeed, rather than getting started and saying, you know what can I do to serve the person sitting in front of me? What do I have available in my pack of tools to be able to serve this individual sitting in front of me? And if I can make their life better,
Sure.
if it makes mine better in the process, awesome. But I genuinely want to wake up every day and go serve someone and do the best I can possibly do. And I believe that if everybody, regardless of their faith, regardless of their upbringing, if they woke up every day with a goal to just serve people in their community and help their life, I mean, how much better would our life be? But then how much more fulfilled would we be too?
Right.
Because we all know the reason we say, oh, well, giving is better than receiving. Yeah, I like to receive, right? But the feeling you have when you're able to give to somebody with nothing else in response, and watching the feeling on their face
Yes.
from just the generosity in your heart is life-changing,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
imagine if
True.
you could have a career that way, a
Yes.
business, a life, everything you did, woke up every day and said, I'm going to go serve my community. How much better
Yes.
would your life be?
And how many people want the recognition for helping others?
Well, you see that on Instagram all
Okay.
the time, right?
But that is part of the reason why I'm not a big fan of what people. I'm not against social media I love social media technology. I love all that, but a lot of the image portrayal, right? It is, look what I have done, and really the Bible says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing,
Right.
because if you do, you have your reward. You got your little instant recognition. But when you do it in secret, your Father will reward you openly.
Right.
Right? And so, again, it's just
And that
perspective.
might mean stuff like this, Leah. Like when I hear you saying at your job, you showed up early and stayed late. Yeah. Well, it's not like, probably a lot of times no one knew.
No.
You were doing it in secret. You're showing up
I
early.
did.
Why were you showing up early? Yeah, Gus knew, right? But you were doing it because it was your character.
Yes.
It's who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
You weren't doing it looking for recognition or a pat on the back. You were doing it because it was the right thing to do.
Yes.
Right? And yeah, I mean, just so many of these things, to me, success principles in our marriage, in our family, in our business, they're so obvious, but sometimes we just need someone to just point them out to us,
Yeah.
right?
See, this topic, this is truth. This is an
Yes.
opinion. This is truth. When
Yeah.
you serve somebody, you are rewarded every time. Now, you might be rewarded through your social media, but
Yeah.
like you're saying, that's not where the true joy necessarily comes from. And I think we all know that. So what keeps us from doing it more, maybe, right? Because I guess we're mortal, and we I mean, I go, man, it's so simple. Just go and do what Jeff's talking about and go and serve other people. not even expecting anything in return. Serve because it's truly the right thing to do and you truly love them, you know,
Right.
and you always get rewarded for it. Always. Maybe not right away,
Of course.
That's right.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think most people's view of serve, I think people think, oh, I've got to go like to the old lady's house down the street and mow her lawn or something. But it could be like, how about you serve your children, wake up in the morning and make them breakfast?
Number one place to serve is in your home, right?
Yeah, or how about you know, if you see a neighbor doing something, you just walk over and just tell them you appreciate them and that you love them and
Yes.
thanks for being a great neighbor, right? These things are simple. Or in business, right? If you have a client and maybe that client's frustrating you, I see this happen so often where, you know, someone finally gets a client. It's like we work so hard to get somewhere. Like early on in business, I just want someone to join me in business. Could I just get one recruit? And then you get that recruit, and then they start calling at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning for questions, and then people get frustrated that
Bothering you.
yeah, it's like okay, that's an opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
Right? Is someone calls you late at night, they need help. That's
Yes.
God putting you in position to be able to serve somebody else and provide them with value that you know you have. Right? So I think a lot of times serving can be in business. You know, I think Brandon, you did that for a lot of years to me without realizing it, like going to lunch every day, right? Stuff like that. Or even when I was having a bad day, your ability just to say, hey, dude, suck it up, go back to work. It doesn't matter what's happening, fix it, move on. That's a form of serving because we have to be the light, like Gus was saying. But if you weren't that person and I called you the bad day and you said, yeah, just sometimes life sucks, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Instead, you did what? Dude, it happened to me too. Here's how you solve it. Here's what you do, right? And those are ways to serve that make people's life better. And I promise all those late nights that I would call you and frustrate you and right, all this stuff, that the amount of money we've been able to give away, the amount of people's lives we've been able to impact is so much more than it ever would have been had you not been willing to serve at those times as well. Like, think about how powerful that is.
I remember you just moved to Boise. You and Kelsey were up there, and you were like working like a dog, you know. And you called me and tell me all these appointments you were doing and all the names you got for the day and the phone calls. And I'm like, dude, and you weren't making any money yet.
Right.
I'm like, dude,
Sleeping on the
don't
floor.
tell anybody
remember
you're working
this.
that hard. Don't tell anybody. Yeah.
Yep.
But you keep going, man. You're going to win big. And then I'd hang up the phone and go, man, I hope he wins big.
Yeah. I remember earlier, he would tell me, you go, Jeff, you got to be like a duck on water. We're like underneath, you're working so hard, but above it's just like, look like smooth sailing, you know? And it helped a lot. But those are things, right? I think when we talk about serving, it doesn't have to be, you know, go pick weeds or, you know, go buy the person behind you coffee that's coming through the line. And we love to do those things. My wife and I constantly, if someone's behind us in the line at Dutch Bros or Starbucks or something, we almost always pay for the person behind us. We you know, we lived in Vegas. We go to this breakfast spot almost every day. And we would go there at Christmas and we would just buy the whole restaurant breakfast every morning at Christmas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nobody knew who we were, right? We just did it because we loved the owners of the restaurant because they were great people, you know, they're just amazing, and they serve the community. So we wanted to kind of go there and make their business better. Like, we enjoyed being there and making the environment better because of how great the owners were, you know? So I think those things, imagine the impact we could have on the world if we really thought more about serving other people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think just wrapping this up today, I'd like to know, you might have to think about this for a second, but what's been your biggest success, or maybe a couple of your biggest successes in life? Could be business, could be your personal life, could be maybe you have a few of them you'd like to share. I mean, what comes to mind when you think about your biggest accomplishments, biggest success, things that brought you the most joy, whatever?
Up to this point in my life is my family. You know, I look over there at my son, and, 18 years old, and he's married with his wife, and, you know, I just think it's my family. I mean, that's what we work hard for, you know. That's if I can tell you, hey, it's not what my house or my car, it's my family that I have. It's my family that I have, you know, and that's really what I worked hard for.
Yeah.
To make sure that it turns out okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
But at the same time, don't you think that house and the cars and all that kind of stuff you
Yeah.
provide for your family to
Absolutely.
realize what's possible? It's not the house or the cars, but it's my family deserves
Yeah.
everything they want or desire, and then building that inside and realizing anything's possible. You think part of that like struggle in your obviously in the journey to success and desiring these things to provide for your family, and then looking at the result you guys have right now. Did you always see it this way?
No.
Never saw it this way? Did you think it would be this good, or what? I mean,
They always tell you, hey, dude, if you do this, this, and this, your life is going to be like this. It's like, sounds good, but you really don't know how good it's going to be until you actually are living it. Right. And I just think that once you start accepting where you're at, but you're not happy where you're at, or you don't,
confronting where you're at.
Confronting where you're at, but you don't settle for where you're at, and you keep going for more, then you know what? You realize that I think the maturity as you grow in the business and life and family and everything, that once you realize that, hey, listen, where I'm at right now, greater things are coming, because of how you look at things now.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? How we look at things. And I just think that, my greatest success up to this point is being able to, obviously we say, I love my team. I love my business. I love the people that we have around us. And all that has been able to provide us with what we have. Mm-hmm. But you know what? If I could say, hey, listen, Gus, what is your most proudest thing, most successful thing is my family, being able to, because in business, if reality is most business people, most business owners, they go through a tough situation and they call it a quits. The first thing to fall apart is the household.
Yep.
Is the household.
Yeah.
And so for business owners to build a business, or entrepreneurs to build a business and keep the core together, right?
Yeah, if you build a successful company that,
Yeah.
Even if you make, 100 or 200, $300 million or whatever it is, and you build a successful business, but your family falls apart in the process, I don't think you're successful, right? Made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But did you really achieve success if you lost the main thing in the process? Right?
Exactly.
How about you, Leah?
I want to start off with being thankful that God did find me just in time. I had aspirations to work my way to Los Angeles, singing, acting, modeling, anything I can get my hands on in that industry. And literally, I really do feel God found me just in time, or I answered the door just in time. And so I want to be thankful that I've been steadfast and have had a walk of faith that has kept me solid and grounded in that foundation, number one. And number two, I am thankful that I do have a very strong desire to be a shining example. I believe that a wife is a reflection of her husband.
Yep.
And so when people look at me, I hope they think that I have a very decent, godly, amazing, solid husband.
Yeah.
And then our children are a reflection of us. And so when people listen to Noah speak, I hope he's a reflection of me and my husband and the way we have raised him. And really, it's those two things. I was hearing you guys speak on your last one about pouring, into each other, and having the ability or awareness to self-assess and to look introspectively is huge, because not only did somebody help mentor you, but Jeff, how much you've poured into other people, and your wife, Kelsey, how much you've poured into other people. That is, both of you have been such amazing examples and servants, as you guys were speaking on the last point, has been so awesome. And it's just this perpetual growth in people's lives. You've changed people's lives.
Appreciate that.
That's on my wall. I wrote it at the last convention, is people need my example.
Yeah.
And so I want to, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not Superwoman.
Yeah, right.
I believe me. I wake up every day and I'm not the most positive person, but again, self-assessing. I have to work on myself every single day to be the best example I can be.
Yeah, I almost think that people that haven't had any success at anything think that successful people are perfect, realizing they're far more imperfect than someone who hasn't had any success, because of how much failure you really got to go through to win. Right. And you fail over and over and over and over. And this is why that maturity may not be an age rather than an experience.
Exactly.
Right. If you have a lot of life experiences in a short amount of time, you're probably going to reach a level of maturity at a young age.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Life isn't perfect. I mean, what you see on the surface, my life's not perfect by any means, right? We have all of our challenges. My wife and I have disagreements. She makes me grow. I don't want to grow, and so she pushes me. It doesn't go well all the time because I've got an ego, You know, our kids are wonderful. I love them to death, but they fight with each other and have their
Yeah.
disagreements, and I
See,
don't.
I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I think sometimes people might hear us talking on this or whatever and think, oh man, you guys got it all figured out. I
No.
do not have it all figured
No.
out, right? I mean, there's no
No.
way. We just try to stay the course with a good, solid foundation the best we can.
I will say that you are the architect of your own life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you
Amen.
want to become something or mold into something, grow, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
you're the architect.
Right.
You have to put it into motion.
No doubt.
And I heard somebody else in the business say it was a good quote. You know, it's like, I'm not gonna allow you to control my happiness.
Right.
Right. I'm not gonna allow you to control my happiness.
Yeah.
You know, if people are having a bad day, well, that ain't gonna make me have a
Right.
bad day. You know.
Right?
And so I just figured in life, I wake up happy. I wake up happy and excited, and she knows that.
It's a choice,
It's a
right?
decision.
Choice, man. They
It is
have
a
to, you
choice.
know.
Being happy is definitely a choice. I
Yeah.
think that
Yep.
so often people are like trying to find this happiness thing. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, it's just, you have a choice to wake up today and say, you know what, I'm going to make today the best day.
Yeah.
And I've always said that I think that perspective comes with and Gus, I know you did enough to know this is true, that people that wake up happy every day, because I'm not as good at that as you are,
Me
I
either.
promise you, right? But I think that people that wake up every day with this positive outlook on life, knowing that today has an opportunity to be better than yesterday,
Yeah.
is such a powerful thing. And I think that is something genuinely I have to struggle with, because I don't wake up every day so happy and cheerful. To me, it's just like, all right, I just got to grind. I just go do the work regardless of how I feel. And so I think you saying that, it helps me a lot, thinking like, hey, I do, because happiness is a choice. You have a choice to be happy wherever you're at, right? And so I think falling in love with where you're at is a very good thing.
And
What-
being appreciative
Yeah.
Yeah.
of where you're at.
Grateful. It's hard to be
Yeah.
grateful
Why
and
would
pissed at
God
the
give
same
you
time.
more if you're not thankful for what you have?
Exactly.
Very true. Yeah.
We don't know how to manage what we have right now.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I mean, I think being happy is light. You feel light. When you're not happy, you feel heavy, you know? And
Yeah, no doubt about it.
yeah. Well, good, guys. We
it's good.
good conversation.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
having us.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Thank y'all
guys
very
for
much.
being on. I know this is going to help so many people, and I know a lot of people are going to get so much out of this. And yeah, just such great people. I'm
Aw,
excited to
thank
see you
you.
guys and have you be here.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
so
great
much.
seeing you guys.
Yeah, enjoy St. George.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Tuacahn?
Yes.
What are you going to see tonight?
Alice in Wonderland.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, my kids
Yeah.
want to see that. Don't tell them. No,
Let's
Tuacahn's
sneak 'em
awesome.
in. Huh?
The second Top Gun just came out today. Oh, you don't know about Top Gun?
What is that?
It's the fighter pilot movie
Tom Cruise.
from a long time ago.
Oh.
This
Yeah.
second
We
one
have
just came
not
out.
had a television.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's right.
over 20 years.
That's actually
Our
smart.
We don't have television, so
That's
So
a
you go to the
better
play at
that's
Tuacahn.
It's a better way
Yes.
to be.
Old school.
We got live
you see
action.
him live.
Old
That's
school's the best
Yeah.
school, man. That's
Yeah,
good.
Seriously.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Well, cool guys. We appreciate you being on, and you're awesome. And yeah,
Thank you, guys.
We'll,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Love y'all, man. Family.
You too. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you guys.